Well, welcome everyone. This is SCORE Southwest Missouri's Tuesdays at 2 webinar series. I imagine we may have some folks joining us from other time zones today where it's not 2 p.m., but here in Missouri it's 2 p.m. So welcome to our Tuesdays at 2 webinar series. This is Digital Marketing Essentials. Our presenter is Patty Ross from Golden State Marketing, and we'll introduce her in just a moment. We do this webinar series in partnership with the Springfield-Greene County Library District. The library offers a number of business resources. You can check those out at thelibrary.org/business. If you don't live here in Southwest Missouri, I bet your library has some good business resources too, so seek that out. I want to start with a quick introduction to SCORE. So SCORE is a nationwide nonprofit that has services for the life of your business. We have mentoring and all kinds of resources to support you from that first idea to exit. There are 3 ways I want you to remember that SCORE can help you. We provide free business advice and mentoring. You can request a mentor on your SCORE chapter's website. You can go to score.org, or our local chapter here is swmissouri.score.org. And our chapter will match you with somebody who meets your specific needs and your specific industry. Free service that SCORE provides. We also offer low or no cost business training, just like this webinar that you are in right now. And there are a wide variety of business templates and resources on the SCORE website. You can visit score.org to find those. Just a quick rundown of our next couple courses that we have here. Is that next Tuesday? Yeah. Next Tuesday, March 15th, we have Cultivating Your Personal Brand. That is a hybrid class. So it's 7 p.m. in person at the Library Center in Springfield with a virtual option. We have Marianne Ellison from Little Red Hen Marketing teaching that class. That should be a great one. Could be a good follow-up to this one. And then our next Tuesdays at 2 happens March 22nd. It's 12 questions to build better employee engagement with Mike Tobin, and that is a virtual. You can register and learn more at swmissouri.score.org for those classes and see our whole offering of classes coming up this spring. So everything SCORE does is possible through the effort of our volunteers nationwide. We have over 10,000 volunteers serving clients in over 1,500 communities. And we'd love to have you on board as a volunteer as well. There are lots of ways you can help with SCORE. You can be a SCORE mentor, you can help plan workshops, you can participate in marketing, or you can help be an ambassador and talk up SCORE in the community. So if you have an interest in that and you'd like to really it's a great way to get connected in your business community, do reach out. You can send a private message to me in the chat or to Mackenzie there on your screen. We'll introduce her in just a moment. And we'd love to tell you more about what it's like volunteering with SCORE. Okay, so here's our contact info. You can see that link to volunteer, score.org/volunteer, and our local chapter website. You can find that mentoring request and all of our workshops at swmissouri.score.org. I'm Katie Pattison. I think I forgot to say who I was. I'm the workshop chair for SCORE Southwest Missouri, and I manage the Schweitzer-Brentwood branch of the Springfield-Greene County Library, as well as business resources for the library. We also have on with us Mackenzie Shearer, who is marketing chair for SCORE Southwest Missouri. She'll be with us throughout the presentation today. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our presenter. Patty, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, ladies. And let me just share my screen so you can actually see something interesting besides my face. Let's see, where are we here? Hold on, get to the slideshow. Okay. Hopefully you're seeing this. Is everybody seeing now the digital marketing essentials? Perfect. Okay, well, welcome everyone to Digital Marketing Essentials for Business. This is, I call my kitchen sink of marketing class. So it's going to cover a lot of things widely, just not deeply. I do teach I was telling Katie and Mackenzie earlier that I do have break-off or spin-off classes specifically on social media, email, and some of these other ones broken off. So this will a little bit of everything here in this class. So a little bit about me. I am in Los Angeles area. I'm Los Angeles chapter of SCORE is my home chapter. I'm on the workshop and marketing committee for that chapter, as well as a workshop presenter for chapters all over the country now. I've been in the e-commerce space since, as you see here, 98. I say back when the internet dinosaurs roamed the earth. Worked for a gourmet gift basket company up in the San Francisco Bay Area at the time. That was just a traditional retailer and cataloger, and started their e-com business and grew it into $1 million plus bit part of their business. I've been in the wine industry for now 18 years this year, but I do work with all types of clients, as you see here, restaurant client and medical devices. I have a B2B clients, transportation, logistics. So a little bit of everything. And as I mentioned, I do teach for chapters all over the country in private groups and chambers and such, therefore. So that is me. A little bit of housekeeping. They are recording this. At the end of the class, you'll get the recording, the slides, and the content calendar that I'll talk about during the class. And we do have both Q&A and chat here. So if you can use the Q&A, if you just pop it open from your Zoom bar for questions, and then in the chat for comments. This way, if there are questions during, I'm going to attempt to answer and pay attention as I'm doing the presentation. But I have a lot of slides to go through, and I want to make sure we get through the end of them. So I might answer some of the questions towards the end of the chat or end of the webinar. And then in the chat, I want you guys to do a little work to start here is please share your business type, what type of business you are. And if you are B2C, business to consumer, or business to business, or both, just put both, and where you're dialing in from, if you're in the local area, Missouri, or if you're dialing from outside. And if you want to also add what's your biggest marketing challenge. I know that's a lot. Put it all together in one chat so I can see it all together. But at minimum, your business type, and I do like to know if you're B2C or B2B or both. So I kind of I sometimes use them in during the class, the specific industry advice. So you might get some specific help during the seminar. So that is housekeeping. So the world of marketing. I know, oops, my mouse is too sensitive. I know this can be an overwhelming and confusing world, and you'll see in this class, it is going to be a lot of information covering a lot of the digital stuff, obviously. You have the traditional side, TV, radio, print ads, billboards, PR, promotional products, etc. And then your ever-growing digital side of marketing, right? We've had websites around for many years now, social media, email marketing, search engine optimization, text marketing, Wi-Fi marketing, social media influencers, all of this, retargeting, geofencing. And I know as a business owner, it can be overwhelming and confusing as to where you should go, which ones should you use for your business? And that's all going to be about your budget, right? And where your audience is. You know, what makes the most sense time and money wise for your particular business, right? So hopefully I'll help. Maybe I might overwhelm you. I'm trying to take away the overwhelm, might get a little bit of both, right? So what is marketing? And I always drop down to the third bullet point there. Basically, it's telling people what you do over and over and over again, but you want to make sure you're telling the right people at the right place at the right time, right? We don't want to just be shouting out to the world and hoping for the best, right? So always want to have a plan in place. So I always say before you go any further, know exactly where you need to go, right? You're not going to jump on the local train and go, I need to go downtown, but not know if you're jumping on the right train to take you downtown. And you might just go circle all over town until you get there. We don't want to do that, right? So we don't want to be this business either. We don't want to throw the spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. And we don't want to do this where we, what we call in marketing, spray and pray, right? You shoot the bullets or fling the arrows and pray that you get that bullseye. But all of those holes there are time and money. And I know I don't like to waste either one of those. And I know most of you probably don't either. So we don't want to be these businesses here. This is my marketing strategy circle. This is from a class that I teach called Marketing Plan 101, Create Your Roadmap to Success. So I'm not going into detail in this class because we're going to be talking about channel 5, step 5 here. But I just wanted everybody to step back if they haven't already and think about the marketing plan steps before you get to the digital marketing and the channels, what I call the fun stuff. Right? Have you set goals for your business overall, marketing versus business? Who are your buyers? right? Building buyer personas to know, like, you can't say, well, I can target everybody, right? Well, maybe not, maybe there are specific people that you need to reach out to. Knowing exactly who your audience is going to tell you where to go, which channels, which, email and social media, and where they hang out. And business to business versus business consumer is going to be different, right? Doing SWOT analysis on your business so you know your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and having a unique selling proposition, right? So you're talking to the right audience, right? And then, of course, your branding. We're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. Your messaging, your visuals, people, talking, telling your story to the ideal customers in the right way. Having a tactical plan in place. Once you've set all these plans together, how are you going to execute on your marketing plan? What tools and processes and people you need for that? And then, of course, always measuring and optimizing, looking under the hood, knowing why you should be looking under the hood and if things that you're doing are working, right? So very important. I teach that class all year round. If you look on my schedule, I probably have it coming up in the next month or so, a couple times a month, but great to definitely create a marketing plan. So before you waste any of that time and money, right? So we're going to talk about branding first, before we move into the other digital marketing aspects. So what is your story, right? And why do you need a brand story? And I think, is it next week or the week after, you're going to be talking about branding. So that would definitely be a good follow-up. But why do you need that brand story? Well, it does set you apart from other competitors out there, and people connect with people. Knowing about you builds that brand loyalty. Now, for example, we don't necessarily need to know who's behind our Tide Pods or, who is it behind Starbucks, the big brands out there. We just we buy the products, fine. I don't need to know what their story is. I'm loyal to a product or a brand at that point. But most of us are small business owners, and people want to know about, especially small business owners, know about you, why you started this company, why you do what you do, and so they can connect with you in your story. And that helps build that loyalty, right? So, and everything you do crafts your story. If every touch point with the customer tells your story. So if it's your social media, your website, your email campaigns, your delivery van, your company uniforms, your storefront, everything tells your story of what you do, whatever points that you all have, right? And you need to be consistent across all those platforms. When it comes confused buyers don't buy. So if you're confusing them, they don't know, you're not giving them the right message. You're not even giving them a message. It's like, if I don't understand what you sell, I don't know I'm going to buy it, right? And of course, you always want to tell the truth when it comes to that. There's always the kind of the false scarcity things and things like that, but you do want to tell the truth. You want to make sure that you're selling what they want to buy, right? What you're offering. Here's two brands. What do these two brands convey to the world? Whether you love them or hate them, right? Apple or Starbucks, there's the common thread with both of them, right? Other than them being big global brands, but what, I usually ask this question live in a class, you raise their hand, what do these brands convey? Well, generally one thing, right? Consistency, brand consistency. So you can go to an Apple store. Maybe there's one, somebody here is Joplin, Missouri. Maybe there's an Apple store in Joplin, Missouri. And then there's probably one in Hong Kong or in Los Angeles, right? Is there going to be a big difference between them? Sure. In Hong Kong, you're going to have different language spoken there, maybe different color polo shirts there. But generally, the brand experience is going to be relatively the same, no matter where you go to an Apple store. The same with the Starbucks, right? Whether you go to the Starbucks in Joplin, Missouri or Paris, France, you're going to have a similar experience. They just might not sell Americanos in Paris, France, right? But pretty much same brand experience, consistency. Now, right, none of us are probably a Starbucks or Apple size brand, but we can learn from these brands, especially with the consistency. So even if you don't have a storefront, if you're just online or it's just you and your services, whatever messaging and branding you put out there is going to be consistent. So people know always how to find you, where to find you, and you're always giving them the right message to the right people, right? And the brand, again, is also about the people behind it. I know there's companies that kind of forget this. I'm not picking, I know I see there's a winery in here. I'm not picking on the wine industry, but since I've been in the wine industry for many years, I've seen a lot of winery websites and worked with a lot of winery clients. And typically, as an example, their websites, which they should have pictures of grapes, right? Vineyards, barrels, food, wine glasses, wine bottles. Of course, right? That's what they do. They should have all of those, right? And here, just some examples. These were pulled off of a Facebook page for a local, I say local, California winery. And the only people they had in all of their photos were these two gentlemen, very important gentlemen in the wine industry, harvesting the grapes. But all the other pictures were vineyards and grapes. And there are no other pictures of anybody else. No, and I'm like, yes, you're a winery. We figure you probably do have some vineyards and grapes to sell. But that was it. Compared to, here's another winery in California where this is the Facebook pictures. You can relate to this because it's like there's people, right? They're telling their story. This was one of my clients, and they're up in way northern California. It's called Gold Country up there. So a little tiny area. They have a couple of little wine tasting rooms up there. And, here you have the owner up in the upper left doing a wine tasting. You have some people, it looks like a bachelorette party, perhaps in the tasting room, having a good time. They're doing a grape stomping party. You have pugs there, which looks like one of mine. You probably hear snoring behind me here in the room. But it breathes life into this brand, right? What's going to happen when you go there? The other one, I'm like, okay, I know there's vineyards and grapes and grapevines and things, but what else am I going to experience there as part of the brand, right? So making sure that you feature the people, they're part of your brand story. This person, whether they're selling wine or a laundry, selling laundry or clothes, they're part of the brand story. This might be the owner who's telling the story while, pouring wine for these customers, but they're part of the story. It's not just about the product itself, right? So making sure you make that connection. I know probably in the class next week, if you attend it, I'll probably talk a little bit about this, but I'll just go over some basics when it comes to building your brand persona. And it's all about those visuals. So your brand persona, as it says here, emotionally connects your audience to your message, which makes you more, of course, relatable and likable. So there's personal branding and business branding. So some of us here might be, yes, we have a business. Maybe we have a storefront and staff and all that, or it might just be us. Maybe you're a life coach, and yes, you do have maybe a brand as well, but it'd probably be more about you, right, and your services. So here's an example, this picture of Mary. She's a business coach, but here, this is Janet. I know her in person. She's a life coach. And Gina from Janichi Studios is a branding photographer, is a colleague of mine as well. Worked with Janet, to do some new pictures for her branding, for her website and marketing purposes. Perfectly lovely picture of Janet. Again, she's a life coach. It's an older picture of her. I know her in person. I know it's like nothing like she looks like now. I mean, similar, but not the same. Probably had an old headshot from a previous job. Perfectly serviceable. She's smiling. Looks good. I did the same thing. I'm totally guilty of that as well. But she went to a branding photographer, and here's her after, a little zhuzhed up a little bit. But it's also to strategically position her to appeal to her target audience. So, right, as a life coach, right, she's a beautiful headshot, a little more of what she looks like now, but also some additional shots to show that, she's warm and friendly, compassionate, heartfelt, open, accessible. I can imagine if I needed a life coach sitting across the sofa here, looking at her and telling her my life problems, as opposed to the headshot that looks like maybe she worked at a bank, at some point. And I'm not, okay, I could see she's friendly, but this kind of speaks to me like, yes, I want to get to know her. I want to tell her my life issues, right? Here's another client of Gina's at Janichi Studios. Her name's Marcy Jean, hair and skin specialist. Here she wanted to sell professional, but also playful, right? So she wanted her personality. We can see how she dresses, tattoos, she looks fun, but she also wanted to show, hey, I know how to do hair and skin, right? And then here's Vinny, he's a real estate broker. If you're familiar with the Central Coast of California, Pismo Beach, if you've heard of it, he sells real estate there. Of course, most real estate people would have pictures of them with the open house sign, holding the keys, but he also wanted to show that he's not just selling a home, that he's selling you a lifestyle. So if you're buying a home in that area, there's 250 wineries in your backyard, literally, to go wine tasting. You can go sit out overlooking over the Pacific Ocean at one of the hotels, have a gourmet meal while looking at the ocean. So again, showing with his branding that this is what he's selling you, not just that home, right? Now, as far as business branding, right? So this is one of my winery clients up in the Central Coast of California. I've been working with them for 4 or 5 years now. And when they brought me on, they didn't really have any branding they didn't have photography. They had, their images were, I think, a couple pictures of some barrels and old pictures of the owners that didn't even look like them anymore. And they had lost a lot of weight. So we brought Gina in to photograph their 10th anniversary party 4+ years ago, and then also just get stock photography so we could use it for marketing. So we brought her in to get details, right? Of course, as I said, grapes and vineyards and bottles and glasses, you have to have all that. They're also a distillery, so we have pictures of cocktails. And then, of course, product shots just to use for marketing and advertising purposes, and for the website. So we have nice bottle shots and glamour shots. Pictures of what's going on there. If you come there, what happens? This is I think their grand reopening party. So there was food and music and people having a good time. Pre-COVID, of course. And then again, some more pictures. The tuxedoed crooner is not a usual tasting room feature. That was their 10th anniversary party. You can see people here having a good time, whether they're coming into the tasting room or coming for an event. And then the people, right? The people behind it, most important, the owners, Randy and Cheryl down at the bottom there, and Tiffany, the tasting room manager, in the upper right-hand corner. This is what keeps people coming back. I'm sure in one of the wineries, I saw somebody, I don't know where they're located. Look, scrolling back here. You know, I don't know how many wineries you have in your area, but they have 250-ish competitors literally in their backyard. What brings them back to Red Souls, right? It's the people. Yes, the wine is really good, not just because I'm my client, but there's a lot of juice in this area, right? There's a lot of wine. What sets them apart is people have built the relationship with Randy and Cheryl and Tiffany and the rest of the tasting room staff there. So it's all about, you know, of course, being there to greet the people, but also being part of your marketing, you know, as well, to show them this is what you're going to experience when you get there, right? So then once you create visuals, you have photography, high quality, you have the opportunity to create branding, you know, social media posts, flyers, you know, anything that you need for your marketing purposes, right? Video, very important as well. It's part of the branding as well, and content. As you can see here, it says in 2022, this year, 82% of global internet traffic will come from video streaming and downloads. That's quite a bit. YouTube marketing obviously is the most popular video sharing platform still, even though we have things like TikTok and Reels and things like that now. And this is an older stat, 88% of them planning on using it in 2020. Definitely, I'm still finding newer stats to include, not because of 2020 and 2021. There's not a lot of stats out there yet that have come out that are much different. Definitely things have increased slightly, but not dramatically, you know, because more people obviously started using video content because we weren't live. So I'll show you some of that as well during the presentation. But always, you know, definitely gaining popularity. It's their favorite type of content from a brand to see on social media. And it says here 54% of consumers want to see more video content from a brand or business they support. So if you're not doing video content, maybe something you want to start considering adding to your repertoire for marketing. As you see here, 90% of customers say videos help make buying decisions. And there are 4 times more buyers that prefer to watch a video about a product than those that prefer just to read about it. You know, if you think about, if you shop on sites like Amazon, a lot of times, you know, not every product's going to make sense to have a video, but when there is an opportunity to have a video of a product and showing it in action, trying the product on, wear it, how it works, how to assemble it, it does definitely help increase the buying decision on that. And 64% of clients often buy a product online after watching a video about it. So you can see here. Vast majority of videos are shorter than 60 seconds. And the optimal video length for Instagram is less than 30. So think about like TikToks and Reels. I'll mention that as well. And, you know, if you do Instagram TV, if you're loading up a video, make sure it's 60 seconds or more. That's the smallest. Don't do 58 seconds. Don't ask me how I know about that. But generally, you want to keep it short. You know, you don't want people have short attention spans. We're easily distracted. You don't want to have long videos. If you do, if it's like a how-to video, put them up on YouTube. You can link to them on Instagram, but in general, most of your videos are going to want to be shorter. And as you can see here, videos on Instagram get 2 times more engagement than any other social media platform. That's just because of the organic reach on Facebook these days. I'll talk about that. It's very important when it comes to building content and getting out there on social media. And videos are shared on social media 1,200% more than images and text combined. So people like sharing. TikTok, obviously, #1 out there as far as video content. Still a little bit younger audience. Of course, a lot of people started using TikTok in 2020 when everybody was locked up and families and parents and doing TikTok challenges, but generally a little bit younger audience when it comes and users of this in comparison to the older crowd. So I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to talk about email marketing first. We're going to cover social media as well, but I start with email marketing for this class because it does have the best return on investment of any marketing tool out there. So I want you to, if you're focusing on social media and you're not focusing on email, hopefully this presentation will show you how to flip the script or why you should flip the script on that and focus more on email marketing. Very important. So top 10 email marketing mistakes. I'm going to have those for social media as well after this one. So as I mentioned, no plan in place, right? Not having that marketing plan. And, you know, when you don't have the plan, you're like, I don't know what to email. I don't know what to post on social media. You just, it does get overwhelming. So it's better to have a plan. Assuming your customers don't want email. So I'm going to see who's brave, who wants to raise their hand and tell me like, they don't think people want emails anymore, or it's not as important. Anybody want to raise their hand? Put it in chat. Does everybody believe that email is important? I always have some non-believers, but it looks like everybody's either shy or believes. I like a room full of believers. So that is wrong. And I will show you why that is wrong, that people do want to receive emails. Not collecting emails wherever you can. A, B, C, always be collecting. Okay, remember that. Any touch point you have with potential customers or your customers, make sure you have a collection point and a way to collect on that so you can build that list. Not being consistent all year. You know, if you're all about fourth quarter and sales and you don't need to make any money any other time of year, then only do it during fourth quarter. That's probably not most of us, but people do want to hear from you on a consistent basis, as you'll see in a moment. Okay, so make sure you are consistently sending out emails. No clear call to actions in the emails. I'll kind of break that out when I show you the anatomy of an email. Using a personal email account or using a freemium email. There's reasons why you can't use a freemium email with the email platforms. And you shouldn't be sending emails through your Outlook account. You know, you should be using an email platform to send official promotional emails. Not using automation. So some of you, it may make sense to set up automated emails like a welcome email, or you know, wine clubs can do wine club member, you know, welcome emails. You know, there's a lot of different automations you can use to help make it easier for you and to keep going back and sending out the emails as one-offs. I'll show you a little bit about that. Not looking at statistics. That goes across the board, not just your email statistics, but your website, your social media, making sure consistency, but the other C word, conversion. Is it actually working? Are people buying? And you'll see it does have the best ROI out there, but make sure you're looking at what's going on. Are they opening? Are they clicking? What are they clicking on? You know, what's working, right? Not segmenting. So if you have a big enough list and you can segment like different types of buyers, I'll just use the winery as an example. You know, maybe people purchase only red wines and you don't want to keep sending them, or, you know, offers for white wine. You know, or vice versa, you know, you can, different things you can segment to, you know, so tracking the segmentations and then segmenting. People don't want messages that just don't apply to them. then they're going to tune out, So if you have a big enough list and you can start segmenting, do it, right? Oops, sorry, Mike. Too sensitive a mouse. And then number 10, thinking everybody can do email marketing. Sure, we all know how to create an email. For the most part, if we're going to send it through Outlook, you might have experience with Mailchimp and Constant Contact, etc. But make sure you have somebody doing the email marketing who knows what they're doing, their strategy behind it, when to send, what to send, making sure they know how to click, creating a calendar and knowing the behaviors of people. So there's a lot behind it. And it's the same with social media. I think by the last number 10 is thinking everybody can do social media tends to fall on us small business owners. We have many hats on our head. You might not have the time or the inclination to do it yourself, so it just doesn't get done. If you're doing it and don't like doing it, it's just not going to get done. So make sure you have somebody who knows the strategy and the ins and outs of email marketing, because it is a very important tool. So. And sorry about that, so I jump in here. So a little bit of statistics here. So as of 2019, a couple of years ago, 3.9 billion, but as of next year, they're going to show about 4.3. Half of the world's population will be using email at that time. And customers do want to hear. I actually just updated it, so that's why you have it. Looks the 2021 is over another number. I think that was 2018. Used to be, I think it was like 40-something%. 61% of consumers said they'd like to receive promotional emails from their favorite brands on a weekly basis. I want you to remember this one. 61% of consumers said they like to receive promotional emails from their favorite brands on a weekly basis, folks. Okay. Not once a year, not once a quarter, once when you think about it, on a weekly basis, okay? And that number's increased. I just changed it. That was like 40 or 50% before. And abandoned cart emails, if you have a shopping cart, if you're selling something online, you can see here the power of abandoned cart emails results in 69% more orders than a single email. Personalization works. It does have a higher open rate than regular emails without it. So make sure you're collecting names on there so you can personalize it. And interactive, again, video. Videos can increase click rates by 300%. Okay, so another reason to have that video content. This is an interesting one. 90% of emails are delivered to the intended recipient's box, whereas only 2% of Facebook fans see your posts on a regular basis. And that has to do with the organic reach of Facebook. I'm going to talk about that. It's an important thing to remember. But 90%, so the 10% might be, bounces spam, go in the spam box, but they get in the box. Now, that's not guaranteed they're going to open and click and read it, but it does get there. It sits in the box. It doesn't scroll through the feed. Depends on how much email they have in their inbox. It could get buried unless they're an inbox zero person. But it gets in there and it's better chance of them actually seeing it. And as you can see here, 72% of people prefer to receive promotional content through email, only 17% for social media. Another reason to flip that script and not spend as much time or all of your time on social media. And as you can see here, 7 in 10 US adults have made purchases influenced by a company email. Let's see, women make the majority of household decisions, at least. Not that men aren't shopping. As you can see here as well, consumers, this is where they want to be contacted, mostly by email. It is followed by social media, but it is still the #1 tool out there. Not so much in the live chat, phone, in person. Of course, that's changed these past couple of years. And so again, how often do consumers want to hear from you? At least monthly, followed by at least weekly. Quarterly and annually, not so much. If they sign up for your list, they want to hear from you, And these are the most effective types of email marketing. So personalized messages, having that name, single topic dedicated. I wanted to highlight these #2 and #3. So single topic versus a newsletter. I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm just going to do one giant newsletter a month and do everything that I need to say to my customers, just get it all into one. This way I don't bug them, right? And how many people have thought that? Okay, don't have to raise your hand. I'm sure you have. I have one of my clients that's the B2B. I do blogs for her, and I sent out a blog, just a weekly blog email just saying, here's the like an RSS feed type thing. And she said, no, I want to do it in a newsletter format. I go, well, you don't want to do a newsletter format every week. People are short attention span, right? A single topic, don't overwhelm them. You could still do the newsletter, but keep in mind, most people are reading them on their mobile devices. And to sit and read your long letter, what did I do last summer, email, and then, here's the 10 things we have in here that we've been working on, and here's the promotion we're running. You're going to lose people's interest. So keep it single topic, maybe 1 or 2 topics, so you don't have to lose their attention. Newsletter formats, they're harder to read on mobile devices, take time. We don't have time, we're on the go. Just make it short and sweet. Okay. Birthday emails, milestone, like anniversaries, people love those still as well. The bottom ones are more, lead nurturing, transactional emails, so, shopping emails. Plain text that you'd send through your Outlook, not as effective as you can see here compared to sending them through platforms. And the most important stat, right? The return on investment, as you see here, for every $1 spent on email marketing, there's an average of a $40 return on investment. This slide, I didn't put the attribute, but it's Direct Marketing Association has been doing this for years. It hasn't changed for years. Generally, you'll see it say between 36 and 44. Some years it's a little lower on average, but generally about 40. Now, does everybody get the $40 return on investment? No. Across the board, all industries, this is the industry average. But if you're doing nothing, right, and if you even get a $10 return, a $20, a $5 return, and you're doing nothing, you still, this is 4,000% return on investment there, right? Compared to these others. Social media is about half of that, generally 16 to 20%, or $16 to $20, I should say, return on investment on average. So if you see here, so personalized, Lauren asked, what's the difference between personalized messaging and single topic? So personalized just means you're putting their name on it in the subject line. It can be a single topic, so that's a little confusing the way that they do that. It can be the same as a single topic, just you're personalizing it. And some, not all emails are sent personalized. You have to have their name, like you put, "Dear Patty, check out our latest newsletter." That's personalized. So a lot of people aren't doing the personal tags, but that's what that means. I think that was the only question so far. Okay, so as you can see here, this is, I call my drop the mic slide when it comes to email marketing, right? If you're not doing any email marketing, this is what you're potentially the lost opportunity cost of not doing emails. So again, if you're focusing solely on social media and I'm building a list, but I haven't really done anything with it, start doing something with it. Okay. Hopefully you're all convinced how important email is. So I'm just going to break out some just basics on email. There are many platforms out there. These are not the end all to end all. These are 2 of the most popular out there. Constant Content, Mailchimp. I think Mailchimp's probably number 1 because it's been free for up to 2,000 subscribers. So a lot of people start with Mailchimp or start and stay with it. Constant Contact, I know Score has a relationship with them, so they're very familiar with them. I have clients that use both of those. I have one that's also on SendGrid. So these are just a small smattering, not like the most popular out there, but why choose? How do you choose, right? So if you haven't chosen one, or maybe you're thinking of changing, there are different things to consider. Are they easy to use? Generally, I might be different. Obviously, to me, they're just kind of apples to apples, on different features, but they all kind of work the same. What level of sophistication do you need? Again, do they, tying down to some of these other bullet points, how sophisticated are their automation features? Do they have them? Additional features like spam testing, platform testing, cost. Now, a lot of people just say, well, I'm just going to go to Mailchimp because it's free, but make sure that you want to stick with the, don't not move around. So once you get over the 2,000 subscribers, but also it's a stripped down version, so make sure you look at that before you decide based on price. Don't make that really the deciding factor. Yes, we all like to save money and get free stuff, but whenever you get free versions of anything out there, it's very stripped down. And we're talking $30, $40, $50 a month for, depending on the size of your list, for most average email platforms out there. Customer support, that's another big one. If you need to have somebody on the phone, don't go with Mailchimp. Even if you pay for it, you're not going to get him on the phone. People love constant contact as an example, because you can call somebody on the phone and get somebody to help you. If that's a deciding factor for you, that might be important. Okay. So these are my email marketing basics, my 5 C's, I call them: collect, calendar, consistency, clean, and create. So I'm going to go over these, each one of these briefly here. So collect, number 1, of course, as I said, ABC, always be collecting. Now, each of you are going to have different touch points to collect from, of course. So whatever touch points that you particularly have for your business. Website sign up, you should have that. If you have a storefront, are you collecting it somewhere in your store at the register, sign up kiosk or whatever it is? Events that you might have, you can do event tickets, collect that information, make sure you're able to have them opt into that. You can run contests, lead magnets, Wi-Fi marketing, social media. So a lot of different touch points of collecting. Just make sure that you're using whatever you possibly can to collect that data. So some examples: website, right? So generally you should have it in the best practice upper right of all the pages, depending on your infrastructure of your site. Best practice is upper right, because our eyeballs track in a Z formation. We go from the upper left to the upper right, down diagonally to lower left and the lower right. Make sure it's on every page. Even if you have it at the bottom of the page, make sure it's consistently on every single page. But if you can have it at the top, that's the best place to have it. Do a mail gate. This is Mailchimp, a winery I worked with. They didn't have this before. They had it embedded on every page at the bottom. Their particular website platform didn't allow the change to have the upper right-hand corner. So we added a mail gate, this mail pop-up. And after a few months, I watched to see, like, okay, did the mail pop-up work better than the embedded form? And this is the embedded one here. But it turned out that their overall numbers increased, but it was about equal number of pop-ups versus embedded. This Mailchimp will tell you how they signed up, the embedded form or the pop-up form. But have both if you can. You'll see, you've probably seen these if you shop online. Hey, sign up and get free shipping or 10% coupon mailed to you. That may or may not work for some businesses. Social media signups, a little bit more old school because it's only desktop version, but make sure you have the newsletter sign up. And you can do social media posts, on occasion, throw that in there, like, hey, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, get exclusive information or, special offers or whatever it is. Have them. I've seen people buy ads that all they're doing is getting email signups, especially if you run a contest or not, or just say, hey, sign up for the latest information. Right. So most of the mail platforms will allow you to do like an embedded sign up form on social media as well. Lead magnet. So some of you may be familiar with that. It's basically a lead magnet is you're giving something and they're giving something, right? So here, Microsoft Dynamics CRM, like, here, give us this information and we're going to send you this customer experience downloadable cookbook. There. Here's one I did for a client, they wrote a financial planning book for women, but he also had a bunch of white papers on topics related to finances that weren't necessarily in the book. So we did some social media posts, get a white paper on prenuptial agreements, and then created a landing page on Mailchimp, collected the email address. Usually we collect the name as well. And then the download is sent of the white paper. So if you have something of value to give, like a white paper, coupons, or a e-cookbook or whatever it is, create, lead magnets with them and send that out on social media to collect that information. And then calendar. So this is my most important C out there. I tell people, I say, don't do this, but I say, my marketing plan, my strategy circle I showed you, if you skip steps 1 through 4 and you're just like, hey, Patty, I just need to get out on social media and I just need a plan, or I need to get emails out. I don't have time for all that plan stuff. This is, and please don't do that, but this is the one place I find that most businesses get overwhelmed with their marketing, right? They don't write it down in some format. And then they're like, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to email out there on a regular basis. It's all, in your head. And you're like, I'll just post when I think about it. But it's all about being consistent throughout the entire year. So this step is the step I find that a lot of business owners have gotten over that overwhelm, because it plans it out. So as it says here, it takes away that overwhelm of what to social post, email, blog. When you're planning ahead, now I'm going to show you my calendar, and it's in a simple Excel file. You're going to be able to download it with the recording the slides. You can use my calendar. I'm going to show you how it works here, or use some calendar. You can use something online, another paper, whatever, scratch it out on toilet paper, whatever you want to do to make it work. Make sure you're planning ahead, right? Q4. So if you're all about holiday sales, don't wait until October. I know that usually happens. You should have it planned out before the end of August, or by the end of August, and have it all wrapped up by September. New Year, should start wrapping that up before the end of November. So my calendar comes out every October, and I work with my clients through October, November for planning the year ahead, as far ahead as we can. Repeat things, what we're going to do, what events we know we're doing, what promotions we might be doing, and plan out. Don't wait until the first of the year, right? Because after the holidays, we go into that holiday coma, and then by the time we're out of it, it's like Valentine's Day, right? So working in the gift basket world, I learned to plan things way ahead. Q4 was done by August. Valentine's Day was wrapped up by November. Mother's Day was wrapped up by Valentine's Day. Those are the three most important holidays out there for gifting, right? So make sure you're planning as far ahead as possible. So when you get this calendar, it's March, plan out through the rest of the year, or at least the next 3 to 4 months, get through the next quarters on there, but plan ahead. Use the calendar for planning and archive purposes. So of course, as I said, plan with it, but it's now an archive tool. So put it up on a Google Drive. It is a static Excel file. It's not a cloud-based thing. But for next year's planning, you can go easily back to the calendar and look, okay, what did we do last August? Or what did we post for Christmas, rather than trying to find it in your social media posts or your email, platform archives. It's all there. I'll show you how to get more specific on it so you know what exactly you did on it. And then of course, it's going to help sync your email and social media campaigns when you do it on the calendar. So I'm going to show you the pages. Now, I'm going to stop for a second here and talk a little bit about social media and the importance of content for social media, especially when it comes to Facebook. So I'm a little bit out of order with this, but this is important for the calendar. So Facebook in particular has, and you saw the slide where 90% of the emails are delivered, but only about 2% see it on Facebook. That's the average organic reach for Facebook, about 1 to 3%, right? So even if you have 5,000 likes on your Facebook page, only about an average of 2% are going to see your posts on a daily basis. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is, Facebook wants your money. They want you to buy advertising. But with Facebook, over now 18 years of life, has expanded the amount of content out there. Used to be just your friend feed, right? You're just people that you knew and they posted, chronologically. Well, you've had groups and you have pages. So between, let's just say, for example, I have 1,000 friends, I like 50 pages, and I'm in 25 groups. Can you imagine if all of my friends, all of those pages and all those groups posted daily, multiple times a day, even if just once a day, if all of those people were active on Facebook, can you imagine what my Facebook feed would look like? It'd be a never ever ending river of content I couldn't keep up with. So Facebook has to say, well, we can't show you everything because it's too much content. So what should we show you? Well, what's most relevant to you? And the only way for Facebook to know what's most relevant is stuff I click on, right? They don't know I'm sitting here staring and scrolling through my Facebook feed and like laughing at my friend Joe's cat video, unless I click on it and like it, comment, or share it. That's the only way to get the algorithm going, is knowing, okay, well, she keeps clicking on her friend Joe's content, so we'll keep showing her friend Joe's. Or I keep clicking on, Jill's Bakery, in Austin, Texas. And so I'm going to keep seeing Jill's Bakery post because I always like her cupcake pictures. So it's all about keeping that algorithm going and staying relevant, so you get that reach and you get that, get the engagement, you get more reach. So it's all about engagement and reach. It's like the more you're out there, the more you're out there. So keeping that in mind when it comes to this content calendar, so I wanted to stop here and describe that. why we have to do all this additional content, right? It's not all going to be about posting up what you do, what service you are, what you sell. You don't want to be all promotional, but you want to have content that people are going to engage in. You know, they're going to click on something, like, share, comment. So the calendar, again, it's a spreadsheet. You're going to get tabs with each of the calendar. You're going to get this tab that has content ideas on the left. On the right, the beige part is just going to be on the slide. I just wanted to give you some additional content ideas. So you can do things like, you know, money saving or time saving tips, answer FAQs, inspirational quotes, fun facts, holidays. I'll show you, we'll talk about that in a minute. Industry news, books you're reading, anything, ask questions, you know, to get people to respond to it. So that's all the purpose. So these are different content ideas for you to consider. I'll show you how that works on the calendar. And then hashtag days. Again, this is purely for content, social media, more so than say email marketing. And there's so the tab with all the general hashtag days out there: Motivation Monday, Wellness Wednesday. They might, you know, Wine Wednesday. And oh, that's another point. Since I do at least have one winery here in the audience, when you get the page with the recording the slides, there's going to be two versions of the content calendar on there. And one's going to say winery version and non-winery version. And the only difference between the two is when we talk about holidays in a second, the place I get the nationaldaycalendar.com, I get all the holidays, don't have all the wine holidays. So I had to manually go find them all and insert them on that calendar. So anybody's welcome to use if you want to promote wine holidays. If you're not a winery, feel free to download that version because they're not on the other version. If you are a winery and use it, you just have to strip off, like you don't sell Merlot, so you can take International Merlot Day off the calendar. So you know not to promote that unless you want to. So that's the only difference between the two when you see them. So those are hashtag days. And then the holidays, as I described. So nationaldaycalendar.com has these fun national holidays, all different subjects and industries and all that. And this is purely for additional content, right? So you're going to have the traditional holidays, Mother's Day and New Year's and Christmas and all that on everybody's calendar. But also you have the opportunity to add these additional fun national holidays, day holidays out there. So instead of you having to now go to nationaldaycalendar.com to find them, I have a tab for each of the months, and I copy and pasted all of the national holidays from National Day Calendar website. So make it easy for you to find them and then drop them onto your calendar to promote them. So this is April, and you can do, for example, April 2nd is National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. Now, you might have nothing to do with peanut butter and jelly or food, but you know, it's something that could be nostalgic. A lot of us as kids ate peanut butter and jelly. So you can ask, hey, what was your favorite peanut butter and jelly combination as a kid? Or what weird things did you like to eat with your peanut butter and jelly? Something to elicit an answer, you know, people to see it and people, oh yeah, I want to talk about that. People answer a lot of weird questions, right? Some of them may make sense directly for your business, or not say make sense, but directly relate, you know, like the wine holidays. Interestingly enough, my B2B clients, transportation and logistics, I went through the calendar to find these holidays that may relate. You know, some we pulled in that were, you know, maybe it's International Women's Day and it's a woman-owned business, National Philanthropy Day because she does give back. But I found like National Logistics Day, National Barcode Day. I just did a blog article about the importance of barcodes. So they directly relate. I have a beer bar client and there's New Beer's Eve, there's National Craft Beer Day, there's National Bartender Day. So those relate directly. But some may just be for fun, you know, that don't have to necessarily, like the National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. So look at ones that make sense for your business or might be interesting for you to get additional content and engagement. That's what it's about here. Yes, you're no, Lowell, you're not hearing things. You probably hear my two pugs snoring. So they're right behind me. If you hear kind of a, yeah, it kind of can sound like whining too. So that's the national holidays, the fun holidays. Those will be on the calendar. So this is the calendar. This is all filled out for the purpose of this training. It's going to be mostly blank when you get it. So you can see here, and this, I'm going to show you a B2C and a B2B version. So this is B2C, because I know we do have some B2B folks here as well. Use it a little, it's the same exact calendar. It's not like a different B2B version. It's the same calendar. It's just how you fill it out would be a little bit different. So this is B2C, and you can see here, color coded, red are holidays, orange are email campaigns, green are events, baby blue are blog posts, and dark blue is social media posts. So even though we're kind of still in the email marketing, I'm going to start with the social media because that's the biggest part of the calendar. All right. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to have the traditional holidays on here. In this case, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Hanukkah. We're also added for this particular month. It happens to be International Merlot Day and Wine Tourism Day. So we're going to add those. National Donut Day, because we're going to do a post about donut and wine pairing, right? Because of course you can do that. I don't know if Diane agrees with me. Sure, wine and donuts pair together. So those start with the holidays. Plug in any holidays that are the fun holidays that you want to promote, but the traditional ones will be there for you. And then plug in any events. So in this case, this month, there's a wine club party on the 20th. I put Black Friday through Giving Tuesday as events because they're promotional events, I guess you could say. Most of us might, and business might promote them in some way. If you don't, that's fine. You can take those off of there. And then, so social media. So this is how it works. You're going to usually have 2 lines per post. The first line of blue, you're going to determine what type of post you're going to do, right? Don't worry about what exactly you're going to post yet. First line is just, are we going to do hashtag days? Are we going to do another content idea like ask a question or inspirational quote? Is there a holiday happening? Is there a fun holiday happening? So first, you're going to plug in that first line. What type of post you're going to do. Then the second line is more specific. And again, this is for planning and archive purposes. So on that first line, the first week, I should say, right? Tasting Room Tuesday, we're going to talk about our Thanksgiving wine special. On Wednesday the 3rd, we're going to post up our Merlot tasting video. On the Thursday, we're not using the Thirsty Thursday hashtag that I would typically use. It's National Donut Day, so we're going to do a post wine and donut pairing. On Foodie Friday, we're going to do a Chardonnay and fettuccine Alfredo pasta pairing post. And then Saturday, we're going to do something for Merlot Day and Wine Tourism Day. Probably talk about the Merlot 3-pack special and how great our Merlot is, and etc. So here now, I didn't have a second line for all of them here on the sample, but generally you should see 2 lines of blue. If you're going to do 2 posts on a particular day, you're going to see 4 lines of blue. You're going to have what type of post and then the specific. We're going to ask a question on the 13th. It's going to be, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? On the 15th, we're going to pull an inspirational quote. I'm going to find a give thanks quote since it's Thanksgiving month. So you can see here, we're already lining up a ton of potential content. We're going to do a post for each of the holidays, traditional and non. Black Friday through Giving Tuesday, we'll do a promotional post for each of those as well. So now you can see there's a sea of blue here. So there's plenty to post on social media. You still have to go create the content. You got to create the graphics and captions and pull all the hashtags together. But at least now you look at it and go, oh, I have stuff to plan out and to create and post up, right? Email marketing. So this works a little bit different than social media. They work a little backwards for the most part. So what I mean by that, you look at what you're going to do for the month. Here are the 2 main things. We're going to have a wine club party. So we have an event. And then we're running a special, the Thanksgiving wine special. That's running for about a month. And then we also have, for a short weekend, we have a Merlot 3-pack special running for the short weekend because it's Merlot Day. And then we also are going to do posts for Black Friday through Giving Tuesday, emails, not posts, emails for each of those days separately because there's separate promotions going on for each of those days. So when we work backwards, let's start with the Thanksgiving wine special. Right, we know the Thanksgiving is the 25th. The very last day to post or to email out will be the 16th because we know the last shipping day for that would be the 17th and for Thanksgiving arrival. So we'll send the last email out on the 16th. Final offer, final chance, deadline to ship, etc. And then once a week before, like a month before, that's what I would start it. So the last week of October, you can start to talk about your Thanksgiving wine special. Give those early birds a chance to get it, and the last minute people, which is a good, good point I'll bring up here when it comes to email marketing. And we're talking about this with Katie and Mackenzie. We're talking about the schedule for sending out emails for SCORE classes. And I believe they follow the same schedule, but we did this for LA, kind of relates to this. We find that we have to meet people at their behaviors, right? And human behaviors are all different. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but realizing as humans, we're all different. It's the same. So I'll give you an example using SCORE. So with SCORE Los Angeles, I'm on the marketing workshop committee, and I came in and they're like, they were only sending an email out once a month on the 1st, and then once a week for all the classes that were coming up. But I said, well, what if they have a class on the 10th or the 12th? So they get an email on the 1st and then maybe on the 7th or 8th, but then my class comes before a third email comes out. They might have missed those first 2 emails, right? So you have people that are, I'll just use Christmas as an example, right? Some of you people are those, I'm going to shop for Christmas in July and be all done. That's fine. Then you have those are like, yeah, we'll wait till Cyber Week, the food, what do you call it? Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that. Then after Thanksgiving, we're going to start our shopping. Got about a month. And then there are those of us who are like, yeah, it's December 24th. Got plenty of time still. I'm going to go shopping right now, and do that. All those are perfectly fine. The July people would be driven crazy by the December 24th people and vice versa, but meet them at that point. So the same with email. So talking about the SCORE classes, right? If you only hit them those twice, you miss the opportunity for those December 24th people. Some of you might have signed up this morning for this class because we sent out a final reminder this morning. You're like, yeah, you might have seen the emails that Missouri or I sent out like every week for a month before, or twice a week, whatever the schedule's been. And like, yeah, I'm not ready. I don't want to commit to it. Some of you may have done it as soon as you saw it a month ago. And some said this morning, yeah, I got time. Let's go ahead and do it. So we're meeting them at the behaviors. We found in LA, maybe in Missouri is the same, that we would get a lift when we sent that last minute reminder. So we are getting more attendance, not from the ones that were just on the 1st and the 7th of the month, or 1st and weekly, and missing those extra opportunities to promote those classes. So meet them at that, meet them at those different stages. Don't think once is enough. You're not over emailing. People want to hear from you, remember, weekly, on a weekly basis as well. And it's a reminder, like they might miss it and go, okay, this is the last opportunity to do it. Wine club party, the same thing. You're working backwards. The very last email is the 19th, the day before. And then you're probably sending out at least once a week for, I do 6 to 8 weeks if we have time before the event. You'll give people enough time to plan and schedule and travel if they need to travel or whatever. You can combine those into maybe a 2-topic Thanksgiving wine special and wine club party, maybe just to the wine club members. You have the Merlot 3-pack special on that Saturday. It's a weekend only. So Saturday, we send out the initial email. Sunday, it's like last chance up until midnight, order the 3-pack. We're sending out a separate email for Black Friday through Giving Tuesday, different promotions. Depends on how you want to do it. So laid out, as you see here, should be pretty easy to plan out your marketing, right? Hopefully. Pretty easy to use. Again, you're going to get, and I'm going to show you, this is B2C. Oops, went backwards. This is B2B, a little bit different. This is, for my marketing business, for example. I didn't completely fill it out, but you can kind of see I'm going to do different things than I would business to consumer. I work business to business. You guys would hire me for marketing, you're business to business. So I might do this for, say, LinkedIn. I can also do these on Facebook or Instagram, but Marketing Monday, Tip Tuesday, talk about how many hashtags and email statistics. I have my classes on here, my events, my emails on here, all about my classes coming up. So I'm sending one out the day before, usually the morning of, once a week. So I'll have my email schedule on here, my blog articles that I might write and post up, on social media or email them out. So, and the hashtag days that the holidays I might use, I'm not going to use necessarily National Donut Day on LinkedIn. I might do National Stress Awareness Day Stress relief tips for business owners. You know, it's not really marketing, but hey, it's for business owners who are my target audience. National Philanthropy Day. So again, a little bit different than it would be for a business or consumer. You can use some of the holidays out there that, like my client I told you about, she can put National Barcode Day up on LinkedIn because that's appealing to her target audience as well. Might probably post it up on social media, on Facebook or Instagram as well, because she has those for her business. Right. So a little bit different, same calendar, just a little bit different on what type of content you're going to do, but you can use it either way, B2C or B2B. Right. And then again, once you coordinate the calendar, you can coordinate your social media graphics, your email campaigns, your captions, all of that, all in one place, and easily create the graphics and content once it's coordinated on the calendar. So hopefully that makes sense for you. I'm just looking to see. Do I hear? Okay, December 24th person. Yes, exactly, Lauren. That's me too. So if you want the 2023 calendar and beyond, put your email in chat and I'll make sure that you stay on my content calendar. You're going to get 2022 every October. I'll email everybody on my list the upcoming calendars. If you want to continue using mine, just drop it in chat. I'll make sure to grab those. So create, we're all still in email mode here. Create, next one is create. So don't make it all about sales, as I mentioned. Do make it about your customer, be helpful. Could be food related products, recipes if you do food related products. Educate them on a related topic, maybe travel related tips if they're coming to your area. Have clear call to actions, and don't forget those share and follow buttons. I'll show you that in a second. So just quickly, anatomy of an email. Of course, all of you created emails. Clear logo at the top of an email, a nice, what we call hero image. And I design everything in a single line format. A lot of the email platforms you can do, like newsletter, double column, stuff like that. Generally, for my clients' emails, everything is single. It keeps it mobile responsive, which it will do automatically and drop it. If you design it in 2 column, it will drop it into 1 column. I will keep it in 1 column because it wraps it neater than if you did it 2 column and let it mobilely responsively drop it into 1, if you call it that. So I always keep it real neat and simple. People are scrolling on their mobile devices, so they want to be able to see it in a single line format, of course, anyways, but just keeps everything neat and lined up automatically. So yeah, so please drop your email in the chat as we go on, and I'll save that for later. So again, clear call to action here. There's 2 buttons, purchase buttons, above one, kind of above the fold and one below. Make it easy to find it. They don't just scroll back and forth. The subject line, right? So we have who it's from. In this case, it's a winery, Sophistication Family Vineyards. The subject line, 3 highly rated Zinfandels, 1 amazing offer, and the pre-header, right? So all that information before they even kind of open the email, they might see it in the pre-header line. So it tells you about the wine. It's a vertical, it's a price with the shipping included, highly rated with the points. So it gives you a lot of information in that preview line there. Before they open, they can decide, ooh, yes, I want that amazing offer. So be as clear and concise as possible. Here's an older email, but I liked it came in my email box. And I liked it first, like this lobster feast ticket selling quickly. I hate seafood, so it wasn't about lobster, but I liked the selling quickly part. So I'm like, is that a false scarcity or is that a true scarcity? Like, yeah, going fast, folks, better get it while they're hot, kind of thing. So I opened it up and I liked it because, this is cut into 2 here. I liked it because the top looks like a website navigation. You have a clear logo, the navigation buttons there. And then breaking it down tells you exactly when, the pricing, some great pictures from a previous one, people chowing down on all that lobster. There's 2 call to actions here. Then they have the menu. One is get my tickets, no reservations only, no walk-ins, get your ticket now. And then, hey, by the way, wine club members get a better price on them. Why don't you join our wine club today? So give them the option, hopefully they stay in the wine club and not just for discounts, but give them those 2 clear call to actions. And they have the social follow buttons at the bottom, a little bit older look to them, but everything is there that you need to make a decision about this email, about attending this event, right? And there's a scarcity to it as well. Here's another example. Don't miss out. It's BOGO time. Buy one case, get one case for $1. This was a quarantine. During quarantine, people were drinking a lot of wine. So they had a lot of cases. So they were, practically giving away a case of wine with a case. But very clear logo. You have your social share and social following buttons. I'll explain the difference in a minute. 2 clear call to action buttons there. The shop BOGO sale tells you which wines are involved in the sale, pictures, all that. Very clear on there. Consistency, again, the C word, consistency and conversion, but this C word, have a plan, again, the calendar, and are you going to have time to execute on it? Do it yourself from start to finish. And again, consistency and frequency matters. Remember the July people, the kind of the, Black Friday people and the December 24th people, think about them. So don't just send it once and think everybody's going to see it. You can send it again. Don't do this. Don't be that, January through October, you sleep on the keyboard, but this is probably all of our inboxes in November and December, right? Yeah, this email's flooding our inboxes here. Be consistent. They want to hear from you. Okay. And when do you send emails? So generally the best day they show is Tuesday. And it says the highest open rates, but what you send, it says send educational earlier in the week and promote actionable, so promotional actionable emails closer to the weekend. Generally, it's always been Monday through Wednesday, 9 a.m. to noon. Of course, that was like the old days of email before mobile devices where we're checking email all day and all night. Your mileage may vary. You might have an older audience that's not up at midnight checking emails. They might check them first thing in the morning. Look at when your open rates are for your emails. If you're getting more people open them first thing in the morning or the evening, you can, test it out and see what works, what time works for your particular audience. Cleaning. Now, this is the boring part. You're going to get all these on the slides. I don't expect you to all absorb all this right here, but it's important to clean your list as well. You want to check, your bounces for obvious typos, like gmail.com instead of Gmail or sbcglobal.com instead of .net. Those are the obvious ones you can clean, because that's lost opportunity cost, right? If you don't clean them and you let them sit there and not cleaned, if they can be, those are potential customers, right? Hard bounces versus soft. So hard is like, it's a typo, they're no longer valid, it's dead potentially, unless you can clean it for an obvious typo. Soft would be their mailbox is full. Maybe there was some IP relay delay with their ISP that caused it to not send. Generally, it's usually mailbox is full. And those can still be potentially emailed down the road. Remove inactive emails. Look at the activity history. Mailchimp gives you like a scoring of 1 to 5. So you can say 1 is like they're not opening anything or clicking on anything. 5 is the most engaged. And I know Constant Contact will tell you which ones are most engaged. It drags down your open rates if you have a lot of dead weight on there. You want to make sure you do clean out bounces, but can you re-engage inactive contacts? I'll give you a case study. So as an example, is the winery, they're a French Burgundy importer, not a winery, they have tasting room. They hired me on because their email list was shrinking. They weren't buying as much. It was an older demographic. They were still buying, but list was dying off and getting stale. But the problem was they never really looked at what was going on with their list. And when I went and looked under the hood, I saw that there were a lot of people that dropped off, that their average order value was 300 when he was sending out emails like twice a week. He was doing specials. He had 250 SKUs from 30 producers. He had a lot of inventory. So he was sending out all these specials every week, but they generally were $500 and above, $700, $1,100, even though they were discounted for a case. But I found a lot of people had stopped purchasing a few years back, and they never purchased above 300. So they never bothered to look at that. So I said, let's try out some new deals for 300 plus. And guess what? We raised the dead, not the real dead, the email dead. All right. Those people who had not purchased for 2+ years came back and purchased. So can you imagine over 2 years, if he had looked under the hood and looked at that average order value and continued to do 300 plus, and maybe mix it up, have a $300 6-bottle deal and a 500 plus case deal, whatever. But he wasn't speaking to those clients anymore. You couldn't aspire them to go from 300 at the tops to like 700, 1100. That's a big leap. So imagine all that lost dollars from not looking at that list. Those people might have been purchasing over 2 years of time that they didn't, because he didn't look and he wasn't speaking to them. So segmenting, knowing, looking under the hood, why are they not purchasing anymore? Can you revive the email dead? Don't do the other one. Spam. This is the non-sexy part, but important. Don't be afraid of the email, the slide I'm going to show you next. You're going to get it on a slide. You're going to show it to your web person or anybody who knows what they're doing with email and your domain to do this. It's very important to authenticate your email. So again, don't be afraid of all this. I put it on there for purposes after the class. But basically what this is, how not to end up in spam folders. Do not buy lists. I personally do not recommend it. You can, doesn't mean you should, because it could cause a high spam rate, which could then block you from using any of these email platforms. If you get a lot of people, if you buy a list, you get a lot of people said, I never signed up for this, when they unsubscribe and it's a high rate, the constant contact or email, Mailchimp or Send, whatever you're using, might go, where did they get this list? Did they opt into it? If they keep saying, I didn't sign up for it, and they might block you as a spammer. So you want to be very mindful of that. You can provide a double opt-in, but something to keep in mind, a lot of times that double opt-in gets lost in the spam folder by chance and people miss it and they don't wind up getting opted in. So you can turn that off and on. It's good to have it, but again, I'm always a little leery of it because a lot of people miss that second opt-in and then don't get on the list. Now this part, this crazy alphabet soup of things, authenticate your domain with SPF, Dkim, DMARC. Hopefully your website person knows it's pretty easy to do. I did this for a few clients. It's basically sharing information to show that you're a real domain to your email provider. And it's basically just taking some information off your host domain and putting that on your email provider and vice versa. It's like, here's a little line of code, here's a line of code, exchange it, and then it will authenticate you. This is why you cannot use a freemium account like your Yahoo or Gmail to send mail, because there's no way to authenticate it. I could take any of your businesses here, looking just quickly. So I'm not going to do this, Rochelle, I promise. You're just happen to pop up in chat. So she's Rochelle Massage. I'm not Massengale, maybe. Oh, sorry, I'm reading that wrong. Rochelle MassengaleCounseling.com. So she has a domain, right? So she's using her domain, perfect, right? Oh, I got to authenticate that if you haven't. But let's just say I want to, for some reason, duplicate her business, do something nefarious. And so I go and set up Rochelle MassengaleCounseling@gmail.com. There's no way to prove that I'm not that person and I'm not doing something on her behalf. And I wouldn't do that. So that's why you need to set up a domain email address and use that on Mailchimp and Constant Contact and authenticate it so they know it's real. So it looks a little scary than it is, but it's not. It's just basically exchanging some basic information. If you go to if you use Mailchimp, you just type in their help search DMARC or Dkim, and it'll give you kind of the directions on how to do it. And again, make sure you clean up your list, develop that sunset policy, after you've figured out, hey, maybe I'm not talking to them anymore and doing too high of offers, get that dead weight off of there. Make sure you're always sending valuable content and do spam checks for spammy keywords. There's a way to do that. You can do list append and list cleaner. So two different things. List cleaning services, use for older lists. So say if you do have an old list, I had a client that had an older list. They closed down one of their restaurant locations unexpectedly a few years back, and their new location was like 20 miles away. So they didn't wind up using the old list anymore, but we said, well, why not? People might still come to the new location. They didn't know why they closed. It was a greedy landlord wanted more money, and they just decided to close it and just have the second location. So I didn't want to load that old list that hadn't been used for 3 or 4 years into their constant contact account and have it send and have a high bounce rate. That also can cause you to get blocked on an email platform. If they go, well, how old is this list? When did you last send it? Is it stale? They don't want to have a high bounce rate. So then that might trigger them to go, let's shut it down. What's going on with this list? So if you have something like that, it's best to list clean it first. There's list cleaning services. I use, I think it's called Zero Bounce. And it basically will put your list through a cleaner and tell you which ones are good, which ones are potentially spam, which ones are just gone and dead. So you can only load the good ones into your email platform. So, and it's inexpensive. It's like pennies to the hundreds of emails. I think the 3,000 or 5,000 was 20 bucks or something like that. We recently cleaned out a list of 500,000, and I think that was like $800, something like that. So, but it's still cheap per email. List append is a little different. So if you have an old list and say I'm on your list under my email, but you also have to have my address and or phone number, some other piece of information to identify that might match information out there. So it's going to go out and say, well, Patty's no longer at Patty, Ann@gmail.com. Maybe she's now changed to a Yahoo address, for example. So it will go and look and see, do we find anything out there with that address and phone number and that email that match? And can we find her new Yahoo? But you have to be careful because it could find, say I have a husband, his name is Joe, and Joe@gmail.com, his address is out there, phone number, it matches. It might go, well, we found a household member, but Joe might not want to be on the list that I'm on. So I would tend not to append with somebody else, only if it matches. So, and again, same relative inexpensive cost as an email cleaning service. You just look up email list append services on Google to find those. And you can check for spamminess if your email tool does not have a spam checker. A lot of the cheaper free ones don't. There's free spam checkers. I use mail-tester.com. So what you do, if you're familiar with email platforms, you can go send yourself test emails to your own address. So what you do is you go to mailtester.com and it will give you this email address here. You go copy and paste that into your test for your email and send it. Keep this browser open, then come back and check the score, okay, after the email sent out that you sent. And it will give you a score and tell you what's wrong with it. Now, in this case, it was a 5.2 out of 10. The biggest hit on here, as you see, -3, we weren't fully authenticated. My tattoo shop client hadn't done the authentication between Mailchimp and GoDaddy, their domain provider. So I did that for him, and then that eliminated that -3 points. There was spam assassin things you can improve. So I think there was maybe some spammy keywords. The broken link, it was something like Twitter, which they don't even have. So I think it was an error with Mailtester, and then you can test it again and see if that changes. So we'll give you, it says you're not blacklisted, you're authenticated, it's a good format, and it's safe to send, and you're going to get hopefully a good good inbox rate potentially. So, and then marketing automations, or still on email. Marketing automations, there's different ones. This is through Mailchimp, but as I mentioned earlier, welcome email automations, date-based, like birthdays or anniversaries, event-based. So what I mean by that is not like a party, but something that you set up a trigger for emails to happen. So some type of quote unquote event. RSS to email. If you're doing regular blog posts, most of the email platforms will let you set up an automatic RSS to email, as long as you're constantly feeding the blog kitty to send them out on a weekly basis, or after you want to set that up to send. And then if you have a shopping cart, there's shopping cart based email automations, obviously abandoned cart emails, product recommendations, of course, the order notifications, product retargeting, follow-ups, re-engagements, best customers, first purchase, so loyalty programs, a lot of things you can do if you're doing a shopping cart. So a basic workflow on Mailchimp, for example, is just sending out, we send out the first email, and a couple days later, we're just sending out to everybody who didn't previous open. or you can send it out to everybody who received the previous email, whether they opened or not. And the open and click rates are going to be higher on the first send than the second send. All right, that'll be more the lazy part of the list, I call it. Now, here's a more sophisticated automation. This is through Active Campaign, and it's what's called if this then that automation. So two different things can potentially happen, and you can split it and do different reactions or different paths, right? So this is just a simple welcome series. We send the welcome, you wait 7 days, you send a blog article, wait another 7 days. And did they click on the link? If yes, we're sending an invitation. If no, they got a download of an ebook. Abandoned cart email. So similar, again, they abandoned cart, you wait, did they purchase the tickets? If yes, you follow this path. If no, you follow that path, right? Now, a real fun one, I like this one, is what's called multi-channel or omni-channel campaigns, where now you can involve other types of other channels. So we start off with an email, and then, hey, did they RSVP? Yes, great. Now we're going to export the list and send them a see you there postcard. Okay, we're going to send them something physical. We're going to then assign them as an attendee, and they're going to get a text reminder for the event. On the no side, they're going to lead alert sent to the account manager. Maybe they're going to phone call them. Then they'll try another email. And then finally, we can download the list, upload it to Facebook, and send a retargeting campaign. So we can try different things based on, if yes or no. And again, you can do it all via email if you want, but you can also add other channels to it. And this is Mailchimp. They added if this then that late 2020, I think it'd been around Christmas 2020. So I don't know as sophisticated as Active Campaign, but again, a shopping cart attached, you can do different customer journeys here, different purchase paths as well. So that's on there on the paid version, not the free version. And these are, I believe, also now Shopify is back on Mailchimp. They went to Constant Contact. I think they are integrated with it, but these are the other ones. WooCommerce is WordPress as well. So social media, this is the ROI on this, as you saw, not as much as email marketing. That's why I always flip it and talk about email first, but always also still important. Want to figure out where people are hanging out online. So my top 10 social media marketing mistakes, like the email. First one, number one, no plan in place, right? I already talked about that. Number two, not being clear about the short-term and long-term goals. Compared to email, social media should be more of a long-term goal. I call it, it has a slow burn. Email, you send out an email, they immediately do something and purchase or go to your site. It's got instant gratification and conversion. But emails about building that brand awareness, you might get some conversion, but it's, again, more of a long-term goal thing. Not getting the basics right first, of course, like there's a lot of opportunities you'll see as far as content, but just posting and getting that right on a consistent basis first. Not measuring the right numbers. Again, you should be looking at all the analytics. We tend to focus on the vanity numbers when it comes to social media. How many followers do I have? How many likes do I have? But making sure you're looking, what are those 10,000 followers on Instagram doing? Is it just cool to have the 10,000 followers, but are they converting into anything? Are they coming to your site, purchasing, visiting, sharing, whatever, doing something to, justify you doing all this work on social media, right? Expecting too much in too short of a time. So this ties into number 2 and number 6. So if you're not clear about your short and long-term goals, you'll probably expect too much in too short of a time and therefore give up early. You'll get disappointed. So don't do that. Figure out those goals. Don't expect a lot right away, like you do get the conversion in email, and you won't give up too early. Okay. Not having quality content in place of the images and video. We talked about the branding. You want to make sure you do have plenty of content of your own. There's plenty of stock content out there as well. Thinking success will come naturally to the ones with the best product or content. There's no, take 10 years to be an overnight success, right? It's all about the consistency, not necessarily the best product or content, just getting the content out there on a regular basis. Trying to do it yourself when you don't like social media. I talked about that with email, thinking everybody can do it. Again, if you don't like social media, you're not on it, you don't embrace it yourself, you're probably not the best person to do your social media. No one likes to do what we don't like to do. So find somebody who knows what they're doing. There is strategy behind it. Shouldn't be your 11-year-old son who knows how to create graphics but has no strategy behind it. You know, you don't want to cut corners on that. So make sure you have somebody in place who understands social media. And then as far as the stats here, so who is on social media, right? So I have it on the right broken down by the generation. So they kind of cross over in these groups. So 84% of people are age 18 to 29 by generation. So that would be Gen Z with some Gen Y, some zillennials and millennials. 30 to 49 age range is again going to be some Gen Y and Gen X. 73% the 50 to 64 Gen X with the little baby boomers. And then you have the silent and golden ages up above, right? So not so much, as you can see, they're still out there, 65 plus. The Gen X is a much smaller group in there, but they're still, you know, not far behind on the millennials and zillennials. And of course, now we have the alpha generation, the youngest ones under that age coming up. And what do people want from brands on social media? So similar to if they had a storefront, and some of these anyways, they want, you know, come in, they want you to be honest, what you're selling and pricing and all that, friendly and helpful, of course. Some people want you to be funny. You want to be careful with kind of trendy, I would say political, not necessarily politically correct, snarky, those things you want to be careful because they don't translate well with some people. So again, kind of the things that you would expect when you walk into a storefront in some ways. And what can the brand do to get people to purchase? You know, similar to almost a storefront, responsive, you know, there to, you know, at the cash register, so to speak, or at the point of sale at some point. Promotions, educational content, maybe exclusive content and offers as well. And then obviously the top one is still used by marketers and consumers: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Messenger, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Pinterest, and WhatsApp. You know, so again, top two are going to be Facebook and Instagram, Twitter for B2B. So who's on which platforms? This is where you're breaking down who's your audience and where they mostly hang out. So mostly a little bit more male than female here on Facebook, millennials and zillennials, but of course still some Gen X and boomers. Now pay attention to Facebook numbers in those ages, 51 and 34. Remember those numbers when it comes. We'll show you some other stats here. Top two reasons people are on Facebook, of course, to keep in contact with friends and family and to get entertained, not to shop. So not the number one or number two reason. They follow your brands and they get some news, but generally to be with friends and family and to be entertained. So you can entertain them in some way, but they do shop. It says 78% of American consumers have discovered retail products to buy on Facebook. It's probably it's a little bit higher, you know, this is 2018, but it's about 78 to 80 something percent. Most of it, oops, I went right past that. Most people are accessing it via mobile device. That number hasn't changed since 2019. Marketers love using Facebook, 86%, and there's 80 million small businesses around the world using Facebook pages. A lot of competition out there. Facebook groups have risen in popularity. I'll explain that in a minute. And the trends for online shopping, this is just an older stat of last year, definitely because of the pandemic, more people are shopping online, and that definitely continued in 2021. You know, it's maybe shifting a little back to now that stores, you know, are open. Of course, some states are more open than others. People are shifting back, but not necessarily giving up all their online shopping habits, especially those that already were doing that before the pandemic. And then how often should you post? This is similar, you know, to some of the other platforms as well. I say bare minimum 3 times a week. If you're doing nothing, you know, try to get up to 3. Optimal, once or twice a day. You know, the more, like again, going back to the organic reach and the engagement, the more you're out there, the more you're out there. You want to keep that algorithm juiced up, right? You want to stay in people's feed so they can engage with it, and then continue to get that reach with them, okay? And you don't want to go on there and post in quick succession, like, let me catch up and put up 10 posts today, or disappear, because again, that affects the algorithm. And generally middle of the day, middle of the week are your best times to post. On Facebook, it's a little different for each platform. Get most engagement. That's when you were looking for people to engage in that content, generally in the afternoons. You can try later in the evenings. Again, just depends on your audience. You can actually go to your Facebook Insights, which you should be looking at, and see when are your fans online. And you'll see a graph like this, and it'll kind of show you the dips and the highs and lows of when people are online. You'll see kind of generally about that. Most of us probably about the same, middle of the week, middle of the day. Now Instagram, similar, but almost half and half male, female. But if you remember the age demographic of Facebook, 51 and 34 for those two older groups, now it's 23 and 8%. So if you're in the 50 plus range of most of your audience, you're going to get them more on Facebook than Instagram. If your social media manager is 20 something and she or he tells you, oh, nobody does Facebook anymore. Well, maybe she or he doesn't, but because they're not 50 plus, but Facebook still is number one for that audience. So don't let I actually had this happen. I talked to somebody, strategy session, and they told me their social media person was in her 20s and she totally ignored Facebook. But the person's audience was in the 50 plus range. So I said, let's train the youngin how to actually post for your audience, not for what she thinks the audience is, similar to her age. Okay. Just because you don't like it or they don't like doesn't mean people are not using it, right? Just because you don't like email doesn't mean you should ignore email, right? So almost 1.1 billion users as of 2021, definitely growing. Second most engaged network after Facebook, of course. And people are discovering products, as you see, just like they are on Facebook as well. And they're using it to make buying decisions for the products as well. Businesses use it just like they use Facebook, a little bit less than Facebook here. It does generate 4 times more interaction. That goes back to that organic reach issue. But Instagram, as of last year, they're using an algorithm to affect what's being shown. They don't have as many content sources as Facebook, but a lot of more users using it. So they're not doing it chronologically. It's based on an algorithm. I don't know if I included that slide here. But how often you're on it, what kind of content you look at, what you engage with, et cetera. So they're kind of, juicing the algorithm as well. So, but not as much as Facebook. So it still has a higher engagement rate because of that, right? Mostly images are the number one distribution or post type. Of course, video and carousels are gaining, popularity, but it's not too, this is from 2019, not too different. So Instagram, you have your Facebook, or your feed screen and your profile screen. Those are just your posts. Carousels, relatively new, not brand new, but it's been out for a few years. This is where you can, instead of posting one image at a time, if you have a party, I can grab 10 images and put them in one post as a carousel and just swipe through the pictures on the one post. Instagram Reels, as of August 2020, they were launched to compete with TikTok, of course. Instagram wants you to use Instagram Reels, not upload third-party apps like TikTok. They'll still be on there, but they may change them in the algorithm. They're going to show more Instagram Reels. And now they're on Facebook as well, but they might show them more because they want you to use the native product. So keep that in mind if you are doing TikTok and Instagram Reels. And then, of course, you have Instagram stories, which also do have Facebook stories as well. A little bit different, 24-hour content, unless you save them in highlights for Instagram. You can do swipe ups if you have, you still have to have over 10,000 followers, tags, and, all different types, polls, different things like that. A little bit different than you would just a regular post. Best time to post, generally during kind of the same middle of the week, middle of the day, also can be the evening as well. Highest level of engagement is Wednesdays. Worst day to post is Sunday because probably people are out Instagramming rather than looking at Instagram. And again, the same thing as far as posting. The more you're out there, the more you're out there. Post as often as you can, you know, and if you're only doing once a week or once a month, just start doing it. Get that content calendar out there. And then you'll see it's easy to post 5 times a week or 7 times a week, you know, and if you only can do once a day, but you can do it multiple days, then do that. Don't worry about, well, I'll do 2 posts a day, 3 days in a row, and then that's it. Spread it out, you know. And it says here, the average Instagram business account posts once a day. And this is actually the algorithm I was talking about. I guess I did shove this slide in here. So it's based on interest, how much Instagram thinks a person will like a post based on your previous activity, how recent a post is, how a person engages with the account on a regular basis. So similar algorithm situation to Facebook, but again, less content possibility here. So again, this is fairly new that they're doing this to kind of throttle back the content. And it has to do with advertising as well. And definitely experiment with different types of content, mix it up, you know, start with the posts. Like I said, learn the basics first, get the posts out there on a regular basis, then, you know, throw in carousels and reels and stories with Instagram. You have the options, different options for that. And then Twitter, let's see, yep, sure I'm looking at any questions there. So Twitter, more B2B. 330 million compared to 1 billion, 2 billion on Facebook and Instagram, but still quite a few users there. Definitely little bit more, is double the male and female, 35 to 65. So we're talking the millennials and above, upper millennials and above on here are majority of it. Out there, again, 67% of B2B businesses use this as a digital marketing tool, but people do use it to purchase as well, not as much as you can see on as Instagram and Facebook. Best time, because it's more B2B, more during the week, kind of like that. Think about the lunch hour, they're checking their Twitter feed, not so much on the weekends. During quarantine, that initial first year of the pandemic, you know, it was like every day was busy because, right, we're all locked up at home and any day is every day. I use Twitter as my main news source. You know, if I'm looking for breaking news, because who I follow, you know, I'm a journalist background, so I'm always checking all the journalists and politicians, and I like to know what's going on. So I'm looking, if something's breaking, I typically will go to Twitter before I go anywhere else, because that's people are going there first, you know, in that space. And don't do this. So you can physically connect your different platforms together to make it easy, right? You can say, well, whatever I post on Instagram will go right to Twitter. I don't have to worry about posting, but the user experience is bad. As a heavy Twitter user, I don't want the left side. I don't want to have to go and click and go to Instagram and leave my Twitter environment. There's an easy tool called later.com. There's others out there. It's a social media publishing tool. It allows you to post to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok and Pinterest. So you can load all of those on there and post separately easily without connecting, because you don't want to have a totally different user experience. You can't put a live link on your Instagram, but you can on Twitter. You know, you use different hashtags. You can do a little bit more content or captions on Instagram than Twitter. But the user experience, I want to, if I'm scrolling through Twitter, I want to see the picture. If you put a link, great, fine, straight to your site, not to Instagram. And everything I need is right there, right? So disconnect all of your sites, use a tool like Later or Buffer. There's other calendaring and publishing tools, but later.com is relatively inexpensive or free and easy to use. And you can go across 6 different platforms. So. And then Snapchat, the almost baby, no longer the baby of the family of social media platforms, but 210 users as of 2019. That's gone up, mostly the youngins. You can see here that 50 plus drops way down. We're not here, you know. It's the Gen A, Gen Z, and maybe a tiny bit of the youngest millennials out there on there. And you can see here, mostly kind of flipped on Twitter, mostly female compared to the male. And best times to post, if this is your market, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., but generally they're on all day, any day of the week in comparison to the others. LinkedIn for you B2B folks, right? So most use B2B channel out there is LinkedIn, followed by Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So if you are B2B, you shouldn't be focusing that much on Instagram as the other ones. And just some basic stats. So 51% of companies acquired a B2C customer through LinkedIn. So you can do B2C. 93% of B2B marketers consider LinkedIn the most effective site for lead generation. I'll just read a couple of them. 80% of LinkedIn members want to connect with companies to enhance their decision-making process. So I'll let you read the other ones on the slides there. 740 million users across the globe. 55 million companies listed on the platform have pages. A little bit more male than female. 25% or at least are senior level influencers. So those say C-suite executives. 37%. So it's actually almost about equal, 30, 30, 30, 30, we'll just say. So right smack in the middle, the largest group is at 30 to 49, kind of that the millennial, lower gen or upper millennial, upper millennial and lower Gen Z or Zillennial. So just think of that sweet spot where people are in the mid of their careers, maybe have a business, and then it's almost about equal. 30-ish% are going to be the 50 plus, and 30% are going to be below that, 29 below. You know, but the 37% majority is in this age range here. But it's a little bit different than LinkedIn or Instagram and Facebook, where the age might make a difference. You know, you might want to reach Gen X versus millennials. But in the case of LinkedIn, it shouldn't matter as much, because you could have senior level influencers like that 25% that are 28 or 58, right? You don't care that what age they are. If they are some in your target audience and they are, you know, say a C-suite executive or a CEO of a company, you can have a 30-year-old CEO. My B2B client, who's a transportation logistics, she started that company. She's now like 32 or 33, and she has a multi-million-dollar company. Does it matter that she's 32 or 33 in the scheme of things? No, you want to reach her because she owns a transportation logistics company, and it's a multi-million-dollar company, not because she's 30 something, right? She could be 50 something, doesn't matter, as long as her business is the same. So don't look at that as like, oh, I need to reach the millennials on LinkedIn or the Gen X. It's like you're looking for specific targets, specific industries, or specific level, entry level or C-suite or whatever that is. The age is not as important as the other ones are. LinkedIn is the second most popular platform among B2B marketers, just behind Facebook. Well, this is backwards, actually. I took this one out of my other newer presentation. It is LinkedIn above Facebook still. And people do use it to make the, in their decision-making process, or research process of finding a product or a service, more B2B, of course, not like looking for their latest piece of clothing. Generally during the week, of course, it is B2B. You think of it like the morning coffee, reading the newspaper kind of thing, checking their emails first thing in the morning when they get in. During the week, not so much on the weekends. But it's really, LinkedIn can be the start of the day and the end of the day. I think I have this updated where it could be earlier and later, you know, as they get to work and leave work. Yeah. And then how to find leads on LinkedIn. So growing your network dues, keep your profile updated. I don't go into too many specifics on this one. I do have a LinkedIn Essentials course as well, but definitely add connections to your network and look at who viewed you, former clients, connections of your connections. Do searches. You can do Boolean searches. I just did one with a gentleman I was doing advising on before this class. And we're looking for environmental engineers and owners of those firms, not somebody who works at an environmental engineering firm. So you can do searches, quotes, you know, environmental engineers in quotes and quote owner, and it will pull up owners of environmental engineering firms. Wineries, I can put in quote winery and quote owners and pull up winery owners across the country. So you can do specific searches to find people and make those connections. You know, look for your specific target audience on there. Follow current clients and prospects, do recommendations, ask for them, but make sure they're authentic. Don't ask anybody to write something if they haven't worked with you or done business with you. Join groups in your industry or industries you're trying to break into. Use LinkedIn to celebrate the accomplishment of others. You get notices like somebody started a new job or changed jobs or their birthdays on there. Use it, stay engaged on it. That's part of networking. Don't be afraid to network on a networking platform that comes up, right? So don't, you only give because you expect to receive. You don't give it all. I mean, you're not active, you're not doing anything. You wait until you have a need, like you need a job or you need a client. You forget where you are. This is not Instagram or Facebook. This isn't where you put what you ate for lunch in your dog video, unless it has to do with your business in some way. You don't connect with industry influencers. So anybody in your industry or other industries or business influencers, connect with them as well. You never know where the leads lead to. Don't share other people's content. Make sure you're sharing, reposting just like you would on other sites. Tag people in them as well so they can potentially share your content, learn about you. You just don't care, which means you don't give it all. You don't update anything. You haven't updated LinkedIn forever. You don't visit it. If you have a team, you ignore their team's network, see if that makes sense to connect with your team's network, and don't spam. Now with LinkedIn, what I mean by that, it is a networking site. So you do want to network, right? You do want, that's the purpose of it. But it seems like a lot of us, we go there, we connect, and then we get all timid, like, oh, well, I don't want to bug them, and connect and say anything and sell them anything, but that's the purpose of it. But do it mindfully. There are automated programs out there that probably all of us, if we're on LinkedIn, we connect with somebody and we get the email pops or the message thing pops up and says, hey, I want to tell you about my service and product and come buy this or call me about it, whatever, which is fine if it's targeted. That's kind of the purpose. You can't say don't spam me or don't bug me, but you do the same, right? That's kind of the purpose. That's where else are they going to tell you about their product or service. But be careful, like especially with automations, making sure, nothing against them, they work, but make sure you can target them. Example is I had a gal reach out to me, we connected. I didn't know what she did until the message popped up after we connected and it said, hey, would you like to start your own business? And I'm like, did she even look at my LinkedIn profile? Because I've had my own business since 2006. I've been doing this. I haven't worked, intermittently. So she probably said, well, maybe, hey, you look like you work for somebody else. You want to start your own business. So I told her, turn off that automation and go look at people's profiles and see like, oh, okay, I'm already a business owner. I don't need to start a business kind of thing. So that's what I mean by spamming. Be mindful, look up what they're doing, try to connect in some way to them and make it reciprocal. Hey, let's connect so I can learn about what you do. Not to shout at you and like, hey, make an appointment. I'm going to tell you all about me. Ask them to say, I want to learn about you and what you do so I can maybe put, we can share contacts kind of thing. Okay. So YouTube, obviously video, and I'm just going to stop right here real quick. I told Katie that it's about 6 minutes to 2 and 4 different time zone. If you have a hard stop at the top of the hour, whichever time zone you're in, you won't miss anything if you do have to leave. I still do have more content, so I might spill over about 15 minutes or so. So welcome to stay. Love you to stay till the end. I'll answer any questions. But if you do have a hard stop, you can go ahead and go and you'll get the whole presentation. Okay. So YouTube. 2 billion users, more men than women, as you see here. 90% of US internet users age 18 to 40 accessed YouTube as of 2018. And that number hasn't gone down at all. More people are online more than ever these past couple of crazy years. 62% of businesses use YouTube as a channel. This again was from 2019. It's gone up, definitely has gone up, but not dramatically. It's definitely more businesses are using it. And more people are using Discover products and brands on YouTube. So if you're not on there, it would be important to be on there. Best days to post, Thursday, Friday, most views on the weekend. Of course, people have more time to view video content. So you can definitely, if you're creating videos, make sure you create a channel, even if you're putting them on Instagram, because people do searches. Make sure the names make sense. You have the captions filled out. So if people are searching, you know, how to build a stereo system, and that's what you do, make sure that's in there. So if they're searching stereo systems or how to build, yours pops up. So very important for SEO purposes. And then Pinterest. Anybody here use Pinterest for their marketing? Do a hand raise thing or put yes in the chat if anybody's still using Pinterest for their business. Okay, no. Okay, maybe a few. Let's see. So still a lot of people using it as of last year, almost 478 million. Generally in that sweet spot, millennials, you know, upper millennial to millennial in there, but everybody's using it in all ages. 6 out of 10 are female. It used to be 10 out of 10. As of a couple years ago, it was 7 out of 10. So more men are definitely on Pinterest. Top category is home design inspiration. So if that's something that falls into your, you know, into your industry, your business, that's definitely number one. I'll show you the rest. More than 3 out of 4, 77% have discovered a new brand or product on Pinterest. Definitely in the discovery phase, they tend to do searches of unbranded. So they're not specifically looking for brands, but products. So you don't have to necessarily have a brand on there, but they are doing their product research. My tattoo shop client knew, like, people create tattoo pin boards for inspiration. Now, not everybody is going to be in Los Angeles near his shop, but might like his style, the Japanese style tattoos. So he knew to put his pictures up on Pinterest so people can find them, you know, and potentially be clients as well. But again, those are unbranded, right? Other than his shop. So these are the top pin categories. Again, home design, women's fashion, health and fitness, followed by these others. They don't necessarily have to directly relate. I know we have a winery on here. I don't know if they use Pinterest, but they could. It could relate to obviously food and drink, travel, like, hey, come travel to the area. Here's some tips on places to go and things to see, in addition to coming to our winery. Obviously partying, weddings, if you do weddings at your site, that could be part of it. So you could use these other categories. I worked for a credit union, obviously financial institution. I was their email marketing manager, but being the only woman in 2013, 2014 in the marketing department, they threw Pinterest to me to manage or to continue managing it. And so everything related back to money, right? So we want to save our members money. So how to save money at your reception on a wedding, how to buy a wedding dress on a budget, how to get deals on travel, you know, shopping and, you know, food deals, you know, everything, you know, how to save money on home decor, you know, or fashion. So all of them related back to money. So they can all relate a little bit differently if it makes sense for your business to be on Pinterest. And again, best times, worst times are during the week, during work hours. People aren't pinning as much and repinning and looking at stuff on Pinterest. Weekends and evenings after work are top times there. And then this is the baby of the family. This is the newest social media platform out there. Anybody, oops, you know what? I missed a slide. This was supposed to have a slide about Clubhouse. Is anybody here on Clubhouse, the social chat? Raise your hand. No? Okay, so I'm sorry I'm missing the slide, but I must have been chopping stuff too fast. So this social media platform is audio chat only. You can look it up. It's called Clubhouse. There's an app on iPhone and Android now. Started in mid 2020. It was only invite only to like celebrities and social media influencers, and eventually opened up to everybody else last year. And it's basically just chat rooms of various topics. Can be business, personal, dating, politics, a little bit of everything. A lot of celebrities were on it, especially during the height of the pandemic. And it's basically rooms where you can be in the audience and you can't talk, or you can be up on stage and actually come off mic and talk. So this can be used for business. A lot of, especially coaches and things, sell their products and services on Clubhouse. I've seen a lot of winery talk, cannabis, things like that. So may or may not work for your business. It does take a lot of time to sit there and listen to all these chats. You can create your own rooms, you know, so if you want to go on audio chat, you can do that. And then don't forget about Google My Business. That's part of social media as well, or search engine optimization. You have on the right side, when you do a Google search, you have this is my restaurant client. Just type in Darrow's New Orleans Grill. You get the search engine results on the left, and on the right, you have this long Google My Business. And pretty much everything you need to know about the business before you click to the site is on here, right? The directions, a website link. You don't need to reserve a table, but that's on there for some reason. Your delivery app links are on here, social media links, your reviews, everything you need, questions and answers that people can post up there as well. Everything you need on here to know about the business. And it does help with search engine optimization to be on that. And you don't have to have a physical location. You can be a virtual business and you just don't have to post your address on there. And then don't forget your feedback, again, part of social media. And I know a lot of people hate Yelp, like think that most people go on Yelp to complain, but actually most people go on there 3 stars and above reviews. So shopping, restaurants, you know, the hospitality stuff, mostly, not so much on the, say, travel. That would be TripAdvisor on there. But again, mostly used for 3 stars and above. And, you know, look at the reviews, see what people are saying. This is my restaurant client, and what Maya Angelou said here: people will forget what you said and what you did, but not how you made them feel. So in this case, now they do, you know, before the pandemic, these are pre-pandemic, people can come into the restaurant on a regular basis. Of course, it's a fast casual, but their company culture comes across on their Yelp reviews. Every time you walk in, welcome family, welcome to the family, hello family, whether you've been there or not. You know, Norwood, the owner, will tell you, we talk about, we're about family. We're not about, you know, customers, right? So it shows across the board, right? They didn't write these reviews. They said, welcome to the family. They treat you like family. It's cozy. You're treated. Hello family. And they talk about the food as well, but across the board, you know, and in 2019, just shortly after they hired me on, the owner, we call him the mayor of the place, he's the general manager of it, and everybody knows him. And he was going to leave for back surgery for 8 to 10 weeks. So we're like, oh gosh, what's going to happen? You know, they had to figure out the back of house stuff in the restaurant side. But I also said, well, I'm going to watch their Yelp reviews and see if anything changes when the head of the company culture wasn't around. And fortunately, with only a few blips, you know, that I monitored and shared with the other owners, like, oh, there was a hair in the food, or the food was cold or something, or there was a manager that had an attitude or something, which is rare there. But the company culture stayed in place because it's instilled with everybody there. So this was a way for me to gauge on the marketing side of things, what was happening at the restaurant. So pay attention to if you're on Yelp, pay attention, because people will complain because they want you to fix something, you know, or maybe there's a problem that you need to address that seems to be coming up on Yelp. Like, oh my gosh, the food's good, but that Mike in the tasting room, he's a wanker. Maybe you need to talk to Mike in the tasting room. Hopefully it's not the owner, but hopefully the owner gets to, hey, I need to, you know, change my attitude. So you can see here across the board, Facebook, Google, Yelp reviews. It's not an anomaly on Yelp. They have good reviews, but monitor all of them. Make sure that you're, you know, checking out those reviews, respond to them if they allow you to respond to them, like Yelp, you know, thank them for a nice review and address the problems if you have them, right? So we're getting close to the end of this, folks, as well. So PR, just a couple of slides on this. Public relations, different than marketing. What is the difference, right? If you don't understand the difference between the two. So marketing is going to focus on products and services, where public relations focuses on the relationships and your public image around those products and services, right? It's all about building those media relations, right? On marketing, we create social media marketing campaigns. On PR, publicists will build relationships with media outlets to get that publicity. Marketing is about design, logos, collateral items, where PR people pitch stories, upcoming events to newspapers, blogs. Paid media versus earned, right? So my publicist that I work with, she always says marketing is what you pay for and PR is what you pray for, right? You want to get that earned media by sending out those press releases and building those relationships with the press, right? So paid media costs money, obviously, but it's controlled by marketing. Earned media is free, generally, other than what you're paying your publicist to do that. But then you're at the mercy of the group publishing the article. So some will just post it verbatim, if you send it through PR Newswire. Others might want to, send a press release and get an interview. That's the job of a publicist, to do all that follow-up. Sure, I know how to create press releases. I started out in journalism and PR, but I don't have those relationships built over 30 years that my gal does, of building those to say, hey, can we get an interview on that? Can we get a better, thorough article than just reposting our article off PR Newswire? So that's the difference, earned versus paid, main difference. And then ads. So Google ads versus Facebook, or social media ads, because that includes Instagram as well. What's the difference and why should you use one over the other, right? So important. Google is all about user intent, right? People are doing a search, they're looking for something specific, versus Facebook or social media, say Instagram as well, is all about based on characteristics, behaviors, interest level, more brand awareness, right? So paid social advertisers reach audience based on location, interest, behaviors, demographics. Paid search, targeted keywords with some demographics in there as well, right? So we all know Google search, right? We put in the term restoration contractor. First thing you get if somebody bought a term, those terms or those words together, broad match or phrase match, then the ad results are going to come up. And then you'll have organic results. So there'll be combination of those words in the title, the description, the meta tag, the content, and that will come up in search engine, right? So it's pretty basic. And the audience size, obviously, 1.5 billion Facebook plus 1 billion Instagram users as well. 3.5 billion searches per day. Might not all be looking for your particular product or service, right? Cost is a lot different, right? Because of user intent, right? Usually it's like an immediate need, right? So going to be more expensive for that immediate need, as you see here for Google. Number one, consumer services. If you have an immediate intent, you're searching for a product, chances are you want it right away. You're not just window shopping on there. So you can see the big difference. Some are not too far off on their cost per click. And then audience targeting, much different. Facebook ads, you can do, of course, location, interest, custom audiences with the Facebook pixels, behaviors, demographics, lookalike audiences. So people who are like your particular audience have similar interests and demographics. With Google, you can do definitely keywords, obviously, some demographics, location, of course, some retargeting of ads. And then where, different, right? So Facebook, Instagram, the Messenger, the audience network that they network with. Google, of course, Google search. YouTube is part of the Google family, Google Play and Display Network. So other websites that they're connected with for retargeting. So Facebook ads or social media ads, good for building awareness, growing an audience, and innovative and new products. So things people wouldn't search for, right? Google ads, immediate sales and leads, product and services with high buying intent. So example, say I'm in the middle of, I don't know where in Missouri it would be, but say Bakersfield, California, it's hot out there, 100+ degrees in the summer. So say I live there and my air conditioning unit breaks, right? Am I going to go to Facebook or Google to look for an HVAC person near me? I'm going to Google, I'm going to type in air conditioning repair near me or HVAC near me, whatever, however I want to type it in there. And the local HVAC people are going to pop up and I can call them and get my air conditioning fixed. I'm not going to Facebook to look that up. Now, if I was an HVAC person, now I'd probably spend most of my money on Google, but if you wanted to spend money on social media, you could build brand awareness. So say this time of year, it's still cold, not compared to where you are, but it's cooler. So that HVAC person could put ads on social media saying, hey, the summer's coming up. Make sure your air conditioning unit's maintained before it's hot out there. And so he can build up that brand awareness by putting in ads, Probably better to stick with Google for those immediate, but just to give you a different example of how they would potentially use it. That would be how, for example, another one would be based on my interest. So say I'm into exotic fish and I just moved to the area and I don't know where to buy my exotic fish food. I have to look for pet stores, or maybe there's a fish store or something, but I could eat either one. I can go onto Google and go exotic fish food near me. And maybe it's going to pull up, obviously, Amazon and the local petstore.com, and then the stores that are physically near me that sell exotic pet fish or exotic fish food. Now on Facebook or social media, I might be on some exotic fish food groups, or I might like fish pages. So then my local store, for example, Joe's Pet Store, he wants to attract my business. Now he could get me do Google ads, but on Facebook, he can go and do demographics and people in my 5-mile radius who interests are exotic fish, because I like those groups and pages or whatever. And he can start serving up ads. Now I might not be in the market for fish food. He doesn't know, because that would be Google. I'm immediately looking for fish food. But he's building up, hey, you happen to, like fish and we sell fish food. So it's in my mind that, okay, I need fish food. Oh yeah, I've seen the ads for Joe's, pet store. So I could use it either way. All right. Different types of ads, video, carousel ads. You can do shopping ads. So if you sell multiple products in a picture, you can tag the specific products and go right to those links on your website. You can do specific targeting. So for example, most of us have our birthday in there. So if you want to target, send an ad out and say, everybody whose birthday's in the month of March in a certain area, come and get a buy one, get one free birthday dinner or a free app, or, hey, come to this and get a free birthday gift. Target women or men or whatever. People post that they're newly engaged, right? As soon as the ring's on the finger, most women will go and change their status to newly engaged. So a wedding photographer or wedding makeup hairstylist can start, doing ads targeting those newly engaged in their area. As examples, you can target women or moms, Mother's Day, women who have children between the age of 10 and 15, if you want to target a specific age group, or that are moms or parents. Men, you can do specific ads. You can do some more targeting and specific ads to reach them. And boosted posts versus ads. So I get that question all the time. Should I boost a post? Some cases, maybe. I tend to always favor ads, as you can see here in this little diagram, what you get boosted versus ads. You can definitely do more targeting, do different ads, and different platforms where this is just in boosting the engagement of this one particular post. So this, I say, is Facebook's way of like cheap candy, like easy way to get everybody to hit that button, put in a few little bits of information, your credit card, and start charging you for ads. So I always recommend just to set up the ads. It takes a little bit extra effort to get some more results. Depending on the ad. This example, since it's for a sale, the BOGO sale for wine, specific to drive traffic to that particular sale to get conversion. If it was just an ad with a chicken soup recipe and a pairing with no sale, wouldn't necessarily want to boost it to reach more people. But I would still do the ad to target people who like wine. So maybe there are people that out of the area that are not in their friends, they're follow their page and all that, and they're friends of friends kind of thing. So definitely more targeting you can do with ads. And of course, Facebook ads is still number one, as you can see here. And ads can be expensive, mistake. So make sure you have somebody who knows what they're doing, especially when it comes to Google, because you're going to spend a lot more money there than you are on Facebook or social media. Make sure they know what they actually work in ads or SEO or SEO, right? And bringing that professional is so important, because I've seen so many Google ads accounts set up so poorly, it's not serving anything. It's just charging you money. So you want to be careful with that. And then finally, just a quick website audit. Make sure, do you have all your social media links on your site? Do they work? And I mentioned that too. I forgot about that on the email. Make sure you put your social follow and your social share buttons. The social follow, or like, hey, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. The social share for email is like, hey, send this to a friend or post it up on Facebook, share it to Facebook. So check your social media links, make sure they're on there and they work. It should be mobile friendly. In 2022, you all should have a mobile responsive site. And you could lose sales and even Google ranking if you do not have, in this day and age, a mobile responsive site. Look for broken images and links. Do you have an email sign up? And does it work? Test it out and make sure it's going somewhere and it's collecting those emails that you can use. Is it easy to buy your products or service? If you have a shopping cart, do a test. Make sure you're constantly testing to make sure nothing's broken. Again, does the shopping cart process impede sales? Do you have content on there that's search engine optimized? Do you have, again, meta tags, titles, descriptions? Do you have a site map? All this should be checked out. Easy to navigate. So old information, contact information should be easy to find. Just quick audit, make sure everything is up to date and fully working at all times. I see a lot of broken websites out there still. So next steps for your business. What plan do you need in place to grow your business? And what would it look like for your business to have a plan in place for your marketing? And what support do you need to make that plan happen? So if you want to talk to me, you're all invited for a 15-minute discovery call. You can just go to my callwithpatty.com or quickly scan that QR code before it disappears. No obligation to do anything with me, just free 15 minutes to pick my marketing brain or ask any questions or see if there's anything I can do to help you with your business. So that is the end of my presentation. I appreciate the extra 17 minutes of your time to get all that information out. And I'll let the Katie and Mackenzie come back on. And if there's any questions, I'm just going to scroll through and see if I see anything here. So thank you. And I'll let Katie take it back.
Okay, thank you, Patty. We really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us today. And thank you everybody for being here. We will be back for Tuesdays at 2 weeks from today. And we hope you all go and sign up for that, swmissouri.score.org, and expect a follow-up email in the next few days with links to Patty's site where you can view this video and get the calendar and all that. So thank you, Patty.
Thank you. I don't see any new questions, and I saved the chat, so I have the emails if anybody wants those calendars. And yeah, watch for the recording slides in the calendar. So
okay.
Thank you very much. Nice for my first time with this chapter. So thank you,
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you all later. Bye, Patty. Thank you.